Guys, good Friday morning. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to Real Talk. This, an insider's guide to real estate, life, and the pursuit of happiness, presented by the Yes Team Realtors. We are live in Charlottesville, across all of Central Virginia, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world, on the only dynamic show that allows you, the viewer and listener, to change the pace and tempo of the conversation. If you have questions for Keith Smith or Yonna Smith. And on that note, why don't we welcome our special guest. No, not the distinguished gentleman. No, not the executive producer. Instead, the beautiful, the intelligent Yonna Smith, who already has questions going in for her. If you want to give props to the Smiths, put them in the feed. These people, salt of the earth, as good as it gets from an integrity, character, and hardworking standpoint. Judah Wickhauer is our director. And ladies first. Yonna first, how are you?
Phenomenal. Happy Friday, everyone. It's good to see you.
Happy Friday.
It's been a while.
Stephanie Wells-Rhodes of Intrastate Pest and Service Companies has a question for you already.
Sure. Go ahead, please.
The Smiths have been vaccinated. You see the lapel on Keith Smith right there. You look good.
That replaces my Marine Corps emblem that I always wear, so I'm proud of it. I mean, that's how much this means to me.
I love it. I love it. So open-ended question, two of them. How does it feel, Yonna Smith, to be vaccinated? And the second question from Stephanie, did you feel anything? Her daughter, Corinne, who's a teacher, was sick for like 24 hours.
I'm sorry to hear that. No, I have to tell you, it was liberating, exciting. Really, it felt like somebody said a 700-pound elephant was lifted off my shoulders, and we found out, by the way, it's not a baby elephant, so the 200-pound is an elephant.
Right, did you see that?
Judah, actually.
Beth
Judah
Hyder actually just put in the
Judah.
feed, baby elephants checking at 200 pounds.
Yeah. So, but...
Thank you, Beth.
Felt really good. I mean, felt, like I said, it felt liberating, and just in a sense that, yeah, I mean, we're on the right path to hopefully being social again, or more social again, so... Had a little bit of a soreness yesterday, felt a little oozy yesterday, but to be honest with you, it comes with, as far as I'm concerned, it comes with the territory, and it's just a little pain to get back on track, and I can only encourage anybody to do it. You're going to feel very, very happy about it, let me tell you.
Multiple people giving your beautiful wife props on being a beautiful, beautiful lady.
Thank you.
Not just Ray Cadell, but others as well.
Clearly, our seating choices was a bit of a mistake.
Should we do musical chairs
I
right
think
now?
we ought to move it. I think I ought to be in the hot seat and said, sit there and shut up, Smith, and put the beautiful 7/8 over here.
She's beloved in this community.
Well,
so are you.
Well, no. Mrs. Smith is here. Maybe Mr. Smith is somewhere here.
How do you feel, my friend? You're vaccinated.
Yeah,
the first one.
I am vaccinated, the first one, and it was funny as Yonna was speaking, and I was trying to think how to answer that same question. You know where I would put this up on? On par of the feeling I had when I raised my hand at the age of 18 to join the Marine Corps.
Wow.
Right? I would put that on par with that. To me, this is about service. This is about doing the right thing, and this is about and taking the opportunity that we have in front of all these cameras and these microphones to say, "Hey, do the right thing." Now, if you're not comfortable with it or whatever, that's clearly your right to do that. But for me, I put it on par of raising my hand and swearing allegiance to the United States government and the United States Marine Corps.
And I've had a chance to get to know you quite well over the last few years. That is quite a statement.
Yeah, that's a big statement.
I mean, you don't say stuff like that lightly.
I do not.
Can you unpack it a little more? I mean, I was taken aback there.
Yeah, unless you've done that.
That's
right?
what yeah,
unless you raised your hand and you wrote a blank check to the United States government for your body.
Your life.
And your life.
Yeah.
You can't understand it.
Right.
I don't know if I could explain it, but, to me, it's on par of that. It's on par of service and giving back to our country. It's how I personally feel about it. We didn't talk about this, Mr. Smith is sweating a little bit because we had to huff it from the office because we were a little late getting in front of the microphones, and we didn't have our normal pre-production meeting. But that's how I feel about it. To me, and that's the reason it replaced my Marine Corps emblem on my lapels today.
Any nerves going into the vaccination at all?
Absolutely not.
No?
And I really wanted to bring out also, this was a tremendous community effort.
Oh, yeah.
And you really don't realize how much goes into organizing all of this. We spoke to the owner of Jefferson Pharmacy, who
Multiple people asking where you got vaccinated.
Jefferson Pharmacy.
Jefferson Pharmacy.
Okay.
And they actually, I mean, there was a whole bunch of volunteers, 12, 20, probably more than that we probably even didn't see, because there were a lot of people behind the scenes to go ahead and make this such a smooth, really, really, really very easy process. But Tracy was telling me that they actually started this process in November. Can you believe that? So trying to organize all of this, to go ahead and make sure, first of all, to get the vaccines, then trying to go ahead and get them safely, and then getting the community involved to go ahead and make it available to the community. I mean, that takes a lot of effort. So my kudos to her and the whole staff. And there were a lot of folks that we haven't seen in a couple of years, but there were a lot of volunteers there too. So, and the fire department, the Lake Montiel Fire Department, my kudos to them. They organized all of that as well, as far as the room availability is concerned, and really a community spirit. You saw that, and so very, very grateful.
Folks at the lake, giving you props. So
Thank
Christelle
you.
lives at the lake. I volunteered with Jefferson Pharmacy's clinic, and they have done an absolutely amazing job for our area.
Absolutely.
I get my second shot on the 8th.
Good
It
for
really
her.
does feel like a 700-pound elephant has been lifted off of my shoulders.
Yep, absolutely, and I would definitely second that in a heartbeat. This is liberating. It really is.
So I'm going to reach out to Tracy, because as you two folks are talking, I'm programming future shows.
Love it.
And we'll bring Tracy on there, because they were rock stars. They really have done a great job. And I guess the second reason why it feels a little bit like me raising my right hand to swear allegiance to the United States government was the way they set this up. Reminded me a lot like boot camp, when they were shooting your arm. I mean, it was very methodical, systematic. They bent over backwards to make sure you felt comfortable.
How so?
They had what, a dozen or
It was
more
about a dozen nurses
or more people there. And as soon as you walked in,
yeah.
how you feeling, Mr. Smith? When what happened was after you took your shot, you had to sit in a chair and wait 15 minutes, and there was a couple of nurses walking around and staff folks working around. How you feeling? You having any reactions? Just really. Community-driven, caring focused, relationship focused, and then you got a little sticker. It was an excellent experience. I noticed you didn't ask me how I felt afterwards, but it's okay.
I did.
Did you
I
ask
did.
me?
That was the first question I asked you.
I was listening to Mrs. Smith so
That's
intently.
That's how we started. I'm so happy for you guys.
Just a little bit of headache, and that was it.
Get Kelly Oliver, co-owner as well.
Sure.
Huge team effort.
Very much so.
Just put on the feet. How does it feel? This is a good one for you. How does it feel to get such a game-changing, innovative, life-changing, stress-relieving vaccination at a pharmacy that's locally owned, that you've been going to for so long, that are people that you know right around the corner from your home?
I have to tell you, just the fact that they are local, and they really have done a lot of additional work, not just for the vaccine, but they were also, I remember Tracy being involved in Old Farm Day. This is a whole community event that they're really, really embracing themselves in bringing the best out of Flavanna County and making sure that everybody knows about Flavanna County.
Tracy also has
Well said.
really good choice and taste in men.
What does that mean?
Our husband's
She's
a fellow
married to a Marine.
Okay.
And her son is a Marine. Her son is a Marine as well.
Multiple folks asking how long you've been going to Jefferson Pharmacy.
Oh, God.
Well, it's.
Wow, I'm trying to think how long it's been there.
It's been a while.
Oh, my God.
I think at least 10 years, 2009.
That's a great answer for the feed. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of always been there since.
Yeah.
Because the locally owned pharmacy is something we should champion and celebrate.
Absolutely.
Right?
Well, that's what we do. That's what we try to do on the show.
Right.
And particularly on Tuesdays, we're trying to focus on local businesses and folks that give back to the community and keeping everything in a high positive level. But yeah, they're local folks. They're entrepreneurs. They took a risk. And it's just a great Great setup. It's right over by Food Lion, if you ever been out that way. And, it's kind of like old school, right? You walk in, they know who you are, they know your name, right? How you doing, Keith? How you doing, Yonna?
Stephanie says, I love Jefferson Pharmacy, my go-to when I lived at the lake. Great shopping as well.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Always run in there for a present if I need a last
Or if you
minute present.
forget about a little something for maybe a birthday or something like that.
What have you gotten, Yonna, from Jefferson Pharmacy?
I'm just saying.
They
They
have some nice flower arrangements. I mean, they have a
Yeah,
florist
they have a
in there.
florist in there too. Which
Really?
Is,
Yeah.
It's
Florist
pretty.
in
Yeah,
there.
yeah. If you taking a drive out on a beautiful weekend, stop in and say hi to the folks. They're wonderful over there.
Very good.
Very non-corporate, for lack of a better.
I think that's a great description.
Very
And that's what we love.
That's
Very
what we love.
neighborly, if you can say that.
Well, I
Very
believe that's
neighborly,
actually the
very
tagline.
engaging.
Is it a neighborhood
It's a
pharmacy?
neighborhood pharmacy, yeah, very
And they
neighborly.
live up
Yeah.
to their tagline, But we wanted to kick the show off about this. We wanted to encourage folks, and folks who are not comfortable with it, God love them, God bless them. It's their right to do that. But I'm actually working on two things. I'm working on bringing my son-in-law in live.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah, to talk about herd immunity.
Yeah.
But I have to tell you, right, when we were there was a line. There was a line of folks that get in there, super efficient. You showed up, you had your registration, you had your time, and you just walked through the process. And it was, I couldn't have asked for a smoother process.
Seriously. Yeah.
This comes in via Twitter. A lot of folks at the lake around Fluvanna getting vaccinated that you're hearing of.
I don't know. We're hearing of it. It seems like it's ramping up. It seems like the confidence is ramping up. And one of our cheat sheet notes for today was to talk a little bit about confidence coming back to the community. I think shots have a lot to do with that. Raising that confidence back up. We talked about this a year ago on the show. What was it going to take to get confidence back? And I think we're kind of getting there on that end of it. But I can tell you, when we were at the Lake Pharmacy, you couldn't find a parking spot.
Yeah.
We couldn't find a parking spot, which was great stuff.
Yeah.
Line out the door, So.
And I think you said a good point about confidence. I think we all need confidence. We all need reassurance that, okay, we are on the path to making this happen, in a sense that we can be very social and active community members again, and anything that kind of gets us to that path, that we feel confident, that the end is somewhat in sight, or we are getting better. Let me put it this way, getting better. I think will also help us in having more people come out, feeling more comfortable, with social gatherings again. I'm looking forward to really seeing a whole bunch of kids playing outside again in the various soccer fields, baseball fields, and neighbors coming together and having a little barbecue again outside. And so I think that confidence, I think, will then ultimately also, I think, translate into folks feeling more comfortable, thinking about moving again. Right now it's sort of, everybody's sort of a little bit in a halting position to say, well, I'm not sure if I really want to do this or not, but I think that will help a great deal. So.
It's interesting. I had a conversation with a young UVA intern who's helping on this UVA affordable housing project they're re-kicking off, and we had a bit of a meeting yesterday, and she, we were just trying to get to know one another via Zoom, and I actually had my sticker on. And she was going, hey, that's great news. And I said, great, are you in line? Did you register, right? Are you in this process? And she goes, I haven't really been out of the house in a year, and I'm starting to think about doing that now. Mm-hmm. So she's actually was thinking about going out. And I think we were talking about, Yonna and I, 2 Fridays ago, wanted to go out for dinner at 7:30. When we wrapped up the work, we were able to pretty much find anywhere from a dozen restaurants we like to visit with a seat. Last Friday, 0.
My in-laws are in town, and we got
for
a couple nights off from our boy, Richard Thompson, hello. And we went out to a date on Tuesday night, Tavola.
Yeah.
Fully booked.
Tavola is fully booked. Yeah,
fully booked. The local, fully booked.
Yeah.
Good.
Café Frank, could not go there.
Good.
Had dinner at Zocalo. This is a Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
2 Monday nights ago, we went to go see Vincent Zorn at Barbaderos and couldn't. And actually, we got in because we made reservations. But so great, good for you. Well, now I was going to take Mrs. Smith out to Tavola tonight, and I won't. I have to get on my phone.
I don't think you have any chance there.
I think I'm done.
Yeah, he was almost alluding to it that he's been booked for about a couple weeks.
Yeah,
I would definitely think
That's
so.
great news.
This Jefferson Pharmacy now tagged and watching the show.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Kelly's husband does the flowers. 12 years
Yes.
just celebrated. The Olivers are dear friends of Christelle. She loves Jefferson Pharmacy. Many props to them. Christelle, you're adding to this program. Thank you, Christelle.
Absolutely.
So this is show 150, right? We've been doing this for over 2 years. Actually, this morning when I got up, I watched our first show.
Yeah?
And I realized how horrible I was.
That was just me and you, right?
That was just you and me, right? Up. That was I think it was March of 19.
2019.
2019,
I think
right?
it was the
It's
beginning
just
of March
We've been doing
2019.
this for 150 shows.
150 shows. What have you learned about yourself in 150 shows?
That's an interesting question. I will tell you, on show 1, I actually thought I could do this on my own. On show 150, I know I can't do this on my own. So I can't do this without you, without the team. I had the foolish thought that I'd be able to sit down here and do this. And what I've learned is, the Real Talk is Yonna and I's show. We program it. We set the topics. We set all the content. And my hat's off to you guys. I don't know how you do this every day to come up with content. I'm doing it twice a week, and it is a tremendous amount of work.
Yeah.
And it's also a responsibility, right? I mean, we have a lot of great folks, folks watching. We're honored to do this, humbled to do this, and it makes us raise our game. I think this makes us better at what we do. I really do. I think this makes us better at helping folks in real estate, and I think it makes us better at just being community members and giving back. At least that's what I've learned.
How's the market? Oh, sorry, I don't want to cut you off there, Jeff.
I wanted, if I can
Sure.
just say something to that about what I've learned about this show is I've actually learned
Don't talk to your husband
more,
when he's prepping.
more and more about how much really prep work goes into that.
Sure.
And how Keith prepares many, many hours, days ahead of time to go ahead and really come up with a subject that's relatable, that folks really want to talk about. At the same time, keep the positive spirit of what we're trying to do here, right? So it's very interesting. I mean, I looked at it also from a point of view that the opportunity to really talk about, let's say, for instance, one of my favorite shows, believe it or not, is still talking about 4th of July and becoming an American citizen and kind of raise the level of patriotism and kind of be involved in the community in that sense too, that there's hope. There's hope, there's positive energy, there's good synergy. People believe in the good of people. So sort of that's what this show is also teaching me. Because you guys are bringing on phenomenal people, community leaders, people who really are willing to make a difference, people who are really willing to go ahead and give the positive movement emotion. So I have to tell you, I learned a lot. I learned a lot about what not to do. And one of the things of what not to do is really trying to go ahead and be in your own way with, kind of be flexible enough that you can go ahead and really talk about what your thoughts are and what your emotions are, and be genuine and authentic. So if that's one thing that I learned, that's one of the things that I...
The reach and the depth is just awe-inspiring to me, right? I mean, we really had a couple of quick notes. I prepped a couple of different things. And we've got folks at the lake watching, and we're
pharmacy's watching.
We're having a conversation about a local pharmacy that was not on our topic. We're just going to say, hey, we're super proud to get our shots, and let's promote it. Let's get out there and folks that get shots if they feel comfortable with it. And you're sitting over there with feeds of folks chiming in. And the other day, I had somebody send me a text from overseas. I think it was Ireland. That watched the show and said, hey, that was some great information. And I was like, it blew my mind. And I'm not saying that to be boisterous or anything like that. It was super humbling. And it's a wake-up call. That means, we've got to do this the right way.
Sure.
For folks.
I mean, this is the news.
It is.
It's the news.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we reach more than the TV station. I mean, you can't argue with the statistics.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
facts. Nikki Chambliss, happy Friday. It's
Thank
great
you.
to see you, Yonna.
Thank you.
You have North Carolina, Tennessee, West Virginia, and the agents in Richmond that love this program watching the show right now.
We need to
Thank
bring
you.
them in.
Scotty
you.
Williams, the entrepreneur watching the show, who's
Thank you.
coming on Tuesday. I mean, this has become the community's newspaper.
So the Richmond real estate agents,
Yeah.
please DM me.
Sure.
So we can bring you guys
See if I
in,
can get them
please.
to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
please.
In person would be even great.
No,
Oh.
definitely. And they see, I'm a little self-serving actually.
Okay.
Because I need them to bring some matzo ball soup from Pearlie's on the way when they come in. I'm
That's your
just saying.
favorite spot.
Any opportunity to get a little bit of matzo ball soup and a nice Reuben, I'm in.
Very nice.
I'm in. I try to schedule as many meetings in Richmond as possible so I can get an opportunity to.
Yeah, we have a good working relationship with a good amount of Richmond
Well,
realtors.
it brings up an interesting real estate comment or question about our market, right?
Neil Williamson, welcome to the broadcast.
Hey, Neil.
CVille Weekly, welcome to the broadcast. Brenda Murray, welcome to the broadcast. 5 real estate firms in Central Virginia, welcome to the broadcast. 2
Thank you.
former car presidents, welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us this morning.
So what we're seeing, and this is a great question to throw out to some of the real estate agents on the feed, we're starting to see, as you know, we talked about this. We've got a home that's currently on the market, and we have showing scheduled today, tomorrow, and Sunday. It was amazing to me how many outside the area realtors called
Coming in.
to do that from Richmond. I mean, outside the car footprint. From Northern Virginia, Richmond, some of them came from Roanoke, actually,
Yep.
to go ahead and show the house, it's an interesting statistic or trend.
One came from Winchester. On one of the other listings that we had, one came from
It came from Winchester, really? Wow.
Yes, and
How about-
one flew up from Roanoke.
How about that trend?
Oh,
Well,
it comes back to, I think, what we've said all along. I mean, Charlottesville is the epicenter of everybody either staying here for a little while and then going out on a professional level and exploring the professional world. But most everybody who has had somewhat of a connection to Charlottesville before, either on the academic level or on the professional level, there's a good chance that they will come back. And
That's me.
yeah.
I never left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they never leave.
Yeah.
I mean, either one of
Or
the
they
two.
want to get back. Because our best 4 years, or one of our best 4 years,
Yeah.
and then we get nostalgic of this community that
Yeah.
we love so much.
Yeah. Now, I can tell you a scenario that I've been contacted by a realtor out in Oregon. And she's working with a very, very good friend of hers. They all have roots here in Charlottesville, Virginia, many, many years ago. And they're looking to come back into the area. Because there's friends here, there's family here, there is the vibe. Whatever you want to call it. I mean, it's just something that a lot of folks are thinking about coming back to. And that's sort of what we're experiencing. People are really, really looking for that particular Charlottesvillian feel, community feel, or greater Charlottesville feel, the communities in and around Charlottesville. This is what draws people to come back.
How's that impacting this market?
Well, it's got to put it, like I think you've heard us say this many times, and I will not be saying something that nobody knows, but it just puts a big impact on the local real estate market in a sense that I would say, and I think I said this before, that I think it's about as challenging and as stressful for sellers as it is for buyers to go ahead and really remain, I would say, true to the market, true to their mission. I can tell you the many transactions that we have done since January, especially when it comes to selling a home, we have experienced the same amount of, I would say, stress for the seller as for the buyer. For the buyer, it's more the frustration that they may or may not be able to be considered for the offer, but for the seller, it's also that they have to deal with 8, 9, 10 offers at the same time. So that takes some emotional toll as well.
I never considered that side.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is,
It's
I
a real
just
thing.
I just
Yeah.
went through this. I just went through this over the weekend, and I can tell you that I literally had to tell our sellers, our owners, I said, you have a choice. I either have to ask you to leave every 5 minutes, or you may want to think about not being in your home for 3 days.
Well, that's what I'm doing right now on
So-
this particular listing that we have. The seller has gone for 3 days.
Yeah.
ADU?
With the one with the
Yeah,
ADU, right?
yeah.
So the tenant, the 3 dogs,
Yeah. So
had
that's
to
the
leave
impact
we
right now.
leave for 3 days. But Yonna's 100% right. You know, we think about the emotional stress on the seller. There is an emotional stress, on the buyer. There's an emotional stress on the seller that one needs to consider because, you know, under normal circumstances, you might get 1 offer, maybe 2 offers. It makes life a little bit simpler. Now when you have multiple offers, and oh, by the way, they're all pretty much exactly the same,
Raise
right?
us in.
You don't really
Yeah.
see one much different than the other, and that's where skill sets of a realtor comes in to help them navigate through this process. I mean,
It's
Yonna's
exciting. It's exciting.
Have you ever seen a market where the owner of the home has had to leave
No.
for 3 days?
No. I have.
Not-
I mean, to this day, I've been doing this since
87.
86,
87.
I have not seen
Never
that.
seen that.
I have not seen that. It's a good learning experience, though, however. And I think it also raises the bar of us being professionals and really proving our worth and value to make, first of all, to instill the trust by the owner in us that, yes, you are on the right path. Yes, we know what we are recommending is the best path for you. And just, you know, let the path unfold, and it will be rewarded. But it is stressful.
So our industry in particular is really good. I almost used the 2020 P word by mistake.
Hello, Julie Ballard.
Hey, Julie.
Oh, hi, Julie.
Our industry is really good at adapting.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Really good at adapting.
Yes.
It's because we're, at the end of the day, we're the source of the source, but we're also problem solvers. I talk about this all the time. My father, grandfather, great-grandfather, were all New York City firemen. At the end of the day, that's what we do, is we kind of put fires out and help people through the process. But you remember a year ago today, we were trying to figure out how we can continue to do business, how people could continue to buy and sell. Nobody a year ago expected what we're seeing today, where a seller has to leave their home for 3 days, right? And we put together a spreadsheet of showings every 45 minutes for 3 days, right? And manage that process and manage the client. But we've adapted as an industry to move forward with that. Yonna had an open house last Sunday, which we really haven't had in quite some time, and that was just a huge success. We actually received a couple of offers at an open house, which is generally, that happens rarely, at least in our experience, happens rarely.
The other thing is also, you need to raise your skill set. So if you had
Sure.
told me a year ago that I would be comfortable doing a video walkthrough tour with my phone while I have an open house,
You mean the one that was
Live.
Was yours
sideways?
sideways?
No, that was
It's and like I said, it's still work in progress.
Thanks, Jerry.
So but just the thought that I would be doing that, it would, a year ago, would have just absolutely blown my mind.
But
So-
let's talk about that sideway thing for a moment, right?
Yeah,
If this
it's
was
funny.
that was funny, yeah. Everybody was busting my you-know-what about that.
Yeah, that's okay.
But-
Yeah,
but-
we all
You got
learn.
it out there.
But it was,
Yeah.
but
We
my
learned.
my point was prior to this pandemic, right? I probably would have been a little bit more embarrassed than I am at the moment now. But we are trying to figure out new ways, and everybody's making a little bit of mistakes. Everybody's understanding. People are teasing me in jest and fun. I mean, nobody is really mean about it at all, actually.
Well, I mean, it also helps that you had like 12 offers, right?
Well,
It was definitely, but the thing was, it was just for us to have an additional avenue that we, first of all, prove to our clients that we're taking this seriously, that we really want, everybody to know about their beautiful home, and at the same time give everybody the opportunity to see it who is not able to show up at an open house and who has maybe not the access to see the video tour, or just give it an additional marketing tool. And I think it was fun. I mean, thankfully it didn't rain. It was the biggest
it was a
thing that
gorgeous day.
we were concerned with. We were literally standing outside, and we were able to go ahead and adhere to all the COVID protocols that we're under. Very, very strict protocols still.
We only let 5 people in a house at a time.
Oh, less than 5. It was
Less than 5?
four people.
Well, put in perspective, when you got to the open house, what was going on when you arrived?
It was madness. I mean, we had.
Yonna didn't count because she was like trying to get.
You were like, oh, I got to get to work, right?
That's exactly. Well, we had a showing 5 minutes before the open
the
house
camera
started.
operator.
So the
So you were traffic cop there.
I was traffic cop. Yeah, sure.
Can you put it in perspective?
It was about when we showed it. There was 12 cars there.
Yeah, at least.
Waiting.
Yeah,
waiting to get
waiting. Yeah.
And not only waiting,
But early.
they were about 10, 15 minutes early walking around the house.
And
The
again,
exterior of the house.
And again, everybody's patient. You know, we were able to
That
explain the process.
That was my takeaway.
We were able to explain the process, and please be patient with us. We'll have your name down, and we would love to go ahead and have the opportunity to get you inside. It's going to take about maybe 5-10 minutes, and we'll keep you abreast. And thank you for being here. I mean, so it was just the fact, and they were all patient. Everybody was patient.
That's all right.
It helped that it didn't, like I said, it helped it didn't rain. I mean, I don't know what I would have done if it did rain like crazy.
Would have got wet.
But
everybody, just Captain Obvious. I actually have the Captain Obvious
Obvious.
socks on.
Thank you. Patricia Williams, hello. That was hilarious. Michael Johnson, welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you.
That was a little obvious. Huh?
That was great. It was because you deadpanned it and made it hilarious. Aaron King is
I'm trying. Like I said, I watched the first show from 2 years ago, and I went, whoa.
You know what? I watched some of the earlier shows too, and you know what I noticed is now you're just like, because you're a cool guy that knows a lot of stuff, and now you're just relaxed.
Well,
You just forget about all this stuff, right?
I don't see any of these. All
Same.
I see is a beautiful woman over there and yourself.
Yeah.
And Judah, too, of course, way over there.
He's
But
collecting brownie points
I'm
again.
collecting brownie points.
Yeah.
Do you have some stocked up?
I needed to eat a few of
Is
them.
it a little empty, the
It's
cupboard?
it's a little on the low side at the moment.
Keith.
It's okay.
Wait till somebody in the feed asks what they are. Then I have to answer.
So, multiple folks, is the market going to continue red hot like this?
Wow. I've been answering that question quite some time. I'm going to let Mrs. Smith tackle that.
Okay.
My opinion about that truly is I think it's going to be dependent on how quickly we are able to kind of shed our fear about COVID. I think that's going to be, in my mind, just from a mindset perspective, that people are more confident in going out again, trusting that everybody's doing the right thing to still keep everybody safe. At the same time, we're allowed to interact again and be more human again. And I think that has a butterfly effect, in my opinion. I can tell you that over the past 2 weeks, I've had more folks reaching out to us wanting to
Listings.
wanting to put their homes on the market than I've had for the past 2 months. So I think there's a level of confidence that people are really ready to go ahead and kind of consider moving again. To be honest with you, it will really largely depend, in my opinion, on what the journey of the interest rates are doing. I think if we're adjusting the interest rates a little bit more, which I think is coming towards the third or the fourth quarter of this year, and I may be wrong. I'm not a economist in that sense that I can really predict that, but. So folks who are able to qualify in certain price ranges with a little bit of an increase in interest rate may not be able to kind of stay in that price range. So that's going to probably be a little bit of a challenge.
People have more cash.
People have more cash.
Because
There's
of
more
2020.
savings.
Yeah.
There's more savings than ever. I was reading something. Was it in France, Keith? In France, folks had so much money
Yeah,
in
I
their
can't remember.
savings account, that in order to stimulate the economy again, the French government is putting out some sort of a bonus program for folks to take out their savings and really start spending money again. And I do see somewhat of a similar trend here. The other thing that I do see is that real estate, while it was seasonal before, it really is not seasonal at the moment. And that's sort of something that came out of COVID that
Spring sprung in December.
it was continuing.
Real estate, right?
Continuing, yeah. So I think we're just going to, hopefully we are, but that's the way I see it. I think we're going to be continuously going on the same trend until, I guess, the biggest thing is to have more homes on the
Inventory.
market and have more inventory. And I think this is really the biggest challenge that we have.
I think, I don't have the stats with me today because I didn't prep them for today's show, but it seems to be that inventory is picking up. It's anemic compared to what's needed out there
Yes.
to get to a healthy balance, but it is starting to uptick a little bit. I think the shots in the arm is helping that feeling a little bit.
The warmer weather,
Absolutely.
the savings, the people with the pent-up demand.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
naturally human connection seeking
Absolutely.
people. Right?
So NAR is predicting,
don't-
NAR is predicting that 14.2 million homes will be sold this year.
Get out of town.
And that's the highest, I think,
Yeah.
since they have records of it. So
How does that compare to second highest?
I think the timing was different. The second highest, I believe, was 2006, 2007
Correct.
during and the financing environment was different.
Right.
So
And how many then? Do you remember?
no, I think it was slightly around maybe 11.
Okay.
Was it 11, 11,
That's a
11 and half?
substantial difference.
That's a substantial
Yeah, I mean,
difference.
we hate to quote stats without having them,
Yeah,
having them
I
in front of
I
us,
just
but
got that number yesterday.
But
from
you
NAR.
know, it is the case. Look, I think we've talked about this on the show from the beginning. I think this year is as far as a inventory as a closing turnover amount of homes sold and the quote unquote real estate market. I don't see it changing. I see it just whatever your definition of hot is. I think it's going to continue to move along that way. But eventually, this lack of inventory is going to slow sales down. It's going to have to, right? And we just talked about we've got buyers coming into our market and agents coming into our market. So the buyer pressure is just increasing, which is, we talk about this all the time, which is affecting affordability for the folks who can't, afford at the affordable housing price point, right? It's just putting more pressure on that. And we had a conversation on Tuesday about increasing density and zoning and so forth and so on, which was a great conversation. But, I think, we got to increase density somehow. But
This question just came in.
Yeah.
It's a tough one. Are you ready?
Is it time for a break now?
It's from Steven.
Steven.
Watches our program all the time.
Sure.
He
Am
said-
I going to get into trouble
he
with
said
this?
Mr. Smith.
I said Mr. Smith. Well, Steven, stop calling me Mr. Smith, please.
Said, all right, Keith, what is going to keep us from turning into San Francisco because of COVID-19? And let's unpack that a little
Yeah,
bit.
I
San
just wanted
Francisco
to-
is one of the most expensive markets out there.
Sure.
Very difficult to get into the game. This is safe to say, right? You have to have a lot of money to afford a house in San Francisco.
I would think so, yes.
Is that fair?
Yeah, I
think
don't know
you
the
need to
market
have-
out there, but I would assume based upon what we're
Well, I can
hearing.
speak to Portland and Seattle, which is
Which you know.
equal hot,
Seattle, we
hot
know.
markets. Yeah, absolutely.
Seattle, we know.
I'll get out of your way. What do you think?
Yeah, that's almost an impossible question to answer. And I'm not trying to skirt the answer at all, but it's just hard to answer that question. I think we're different, right? We had Gavin Sherwood on the show who moved from Austin, Texas to here, and a lot of people compare
Austin to Nelson County.
Nelson County. I apologize.
Right?
You're 100% right.
Like both different ends of the spectrum.
Very different of the spectrum, and Austin is an extremely expensive market. It has a little bit more room to grow, right, as far as physical space goes. But that is a hard question to answer. I can tell you this is why I volunteer a ton of my time to go ahead and bring the folks that deal with this, that help us through this process and help us answer this question on a regular basis. My gut is telling me, are we going to become a San Francisco? I'm not so sure about that. Are we going to become a baby Austin? I think we kind of are on that. But
What's the difference?
I think the difference is volume, right? It's just a size thing at this point, right? We're 250 or 300,000 people roughly in this stuff. But it's funny, on our walk over from the office from here, I constantly keep eye on the three big projects that are going on, right?
Apex
Apex.
at ACAC.
at ACAC, which as a former wood butcher, carpenter.
Talk to me about that structure. Is it called what's it called? The wood?
It's called timber frame.
Okay. Is there a special frame name for it that they were considered building the parking garage out of? It's like wooden, I don't know, I'm sorry. I just can't come up with the terminology right now.
So we'll simplify it a little bit. It's a wood structure. It's somewhat composite, but it's a wood structure, right? And if you go and look at it, and I believe one of your folks that watched Mr. Byer, what's his first name?
Scott Byer.
Scott Byer posted some really awesome pictures of it, and actually I'm speaking with the owners of Apex. I'm trying to get a little bit of a tour in there.
Nice.
As a recovering developer and builder and a bit of a carpenter, I was like super excited about that. That's a 6-story structure, a wood framed, timber frame structure over, they call it a podium construction. So you have 2 levels of concrete, then on top of that is the wood structure on top of it. It is super cool. So it's a lot, it's retro, right? It's going back to the 1700s. It's going back to the early 1900s where there was all this post and beam. So if you had to go into
Post and beam.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for.
It's a post and beam construction,
It's a very
right?
good-
So you got posts and you got beams, right? And
yeah.
it's all dovetailed and it's pretty artsy. I mean, you have to have some huge skill sets to know how to do that.
And he knows. This is a builder here. He knows. I go to ACAC every day.
Yeah.
I'm in awe of what they're doing there.
Yeah, it's an unbelievable structure. Unbelievable structure. And then we went to Citizen Bowl the other day, and I was eyeballing Joffrey's place.
Code building.
The Code building. And
That's impressive too, right?
super impressive. I think everybody was a little bit, what was this going to finish and look like when it first started? But it is really, I walked around it. It is done what I think they wanted it to do. It ties that whole end together from a pedestrian perspective. I'm trying to get a walkthrough for that
That'd be
too.
great.
And then Co-Construct's building, which they were sold, right?
Yeah.
Which
yeah.
Co-Construct's building is just about done, and
Will they continue to utilize the building after the sale of the business? I reached out to Donnie Wyatt.
yeah, I haven't
To come
spoken
on the
to
show?
I haven't spoken to Donnie.
He said, as terms of the deal, he cannot speak about
Yeah,
it.
got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
When it's done, Donnie will share, I'm sure, when
Yeah.
he's able to do it.
Well, the deal's done.
No,
It
I mean
closed.
when he's able to.
I think part of the contract is an NDA.
Yeah, I'm sure, but those NDAs
Yes.
usually have a lifespan. to
Oh,
them.
understood.
Right.
Okay.
Up to a certain
Any
amount.
trepidation that those buildings will not be full post-COVID, Mr. Smith?
That
That's a good
that would be the
question.
questions for the Apex folks, the new owners of Co-Construct and
Joffrey.
And Joffrey. I will tell you, I looked at Joffrey's website actually last night, kind of thinking we might
The
talk.
QIM one?
Correct. For the Code building.
Okay, understood.
And if I remember it correctly, there was 2 or 3 floors that were already leased out.
Well, he's housing his portfolio of businesses in there,
Yes.
and then he's going to vertically integrate the building
Yes.
by having a CPA, a lawyer,
Sure.
human resources,
Sure.
bookkeeper, and then all his portfolio of businesses can just walk down the hall or to the next floor to get these very important elements for their business.
So to go back to the San Francisco question.
That's very San Francisco-esque. This
Well,
whole building.
that's what made me think about this, right? So, and I think I can't speak to Austin too much. I think it also has a little bit of a tech hub to it.
Oh, yeah.
I may be wrong. I know San
100%.
Francisco for sure does.
Yeah.
So I think you're starting.
Austin's the home of South by Southwest, one of the largest tech and music festivals out there.
There is
It's
correct.
also home for Keller Williams, too.
Right.
Which is the largest technology-driven real estate company in the world, frankly. So but I think I think what hopefully the San Francisco question was about,
More follow-up on that.
and I may be wrong, is you're starting to see Charlottesville to be these little micro
It's a tech hub.
of 100 employees and less, or somewhere around that count. So you're 100% right. That's going to put additional pressure on housing and additional pressure on housing prices. This is why thank God UVA's in the discussion again in a big way, and that we can go ahead and try to get some projects built. Density will help that. We talk, I talk all the time about this missing middle thing, and I think that's going to be a great help.
Comments? You ready?
I sort
Mrs.
of
Smith thinks differently than
Keith,
I do?
No, I do agree.
That wouldn't be too surprising, by the way.
I think and you probably know more about this on the affordability side of it than I do. I'm just looking at it from a community spirit, though. I've been to San Francisco once. Phenomenal vibe, phenomenal energy, but I think it has a different feel than Charlottesville does. So I'm not sure if we're really comparing apples to apples or comparing apples to oranges in the sense of what the community has. I think that the big draw to Charlottesville always will be, in my opinion, the University of Virginia.
100%.
And that has
Everything.
That has everything attached to it somehow or another. And I think that we're becoming more and more of a maybe smaller tech hub. I think the university had something to do with that as well.
But they're at the table now.
So,
I mean, let's throw this out there. Joffrey Woodruff, hedge fund
Yep.
Yes.
billionaire,
Got it.
donated $125 million to the University of Virginia to create a data science school.
yeah.
And this data science school is going to be the farm system for Joffrey's empire.
Yeah.
Well, Joffrey's for
Or everybody.
For
yeah,
construct, for
the
Apex.
dude has got ridiculous vision.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
But
he takes
just think
vision.
about
It takes vision.
Apex for the moment,
Yeah.
right? That's just a wind energy company that really puts most of its product not in Virginia, not in Charlottesville, right?
But they choose to be based here.
That's it.
Yeah.
And that's just, we may be having some negative conversations.
There's one comment that I want to get to here.
Correct.
Marquise Johnson. Marquise, we like when you watch the show. I want to clear this up here. He says, and I bet everyone here is all in favor of sky-high prices and this market going gangbusters. I don't think that's the case.
Say that again?
He says he bets that we all love that this is sky-high, super expensive area. That is not the case.
Quite the opposite.
Explain this.
Well, I would not. We got somebody at the door.
Yeah.
I would not volunteer, much to the chagrin of Mrs. Smith over there, because I put a ton of hours in this thing, of affordable housing to try to drive the price down. And I don't know where I can. And I appreciate the question, and I understand the question, and I understand where this is coming from, but it's in our best, it's in the community's best interest to create what I call a healthy housing system. If it's only one-sided, it will not be healthy, and it will not be sustainable.
Amen.
It will not be sustainable.
I would agree with that. And this is really more the expertise that Keith has. I can tell you, if there's anything we have learned from the market that we're currently in, is that it's all about balance. And balance, I mean balance on the inventory side as much as balance for the buyer side. So if this is something that 2021 will help with COVID being somewhat contained, I wouldn't say contained, but more controlled, that people feel more comfortable with, then I think if we're heading towards a balanced market, that would be sort of the goal that I foresee for 2021.
Well said.
So
Yeah,
I super
absolutely.
appreciate that question.
Yeah.
And just, who was the gentleman's name?
Marquise Johnson.
Marquise.
Okay.
Marquise, correct me if I'm wrong, lifetime resident here in Charlottesville. Broadcasting background.
Yeah.
I know him well. We have pleasant conversations
He
when we
does
see
some
each
great
other.
video work, if I remember
He
correctly.
does. He does.
He did something at over by. Oh, he did an awesome video I saw over by CVille Coffee.
Board member at the Haven.
Got it.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
We appreciate the question.
Very
We
much
appreciate
so.
the question. I would encourage. Reach out to me. I would love to sit down and have a conversation and discuss.
I'll tag 'em.
Please,
Tag you guys,
please do that. Some of the stuff.
Marquise, you would really like this guy, Keith Smith.
So the Regional Housing Partnership, we had the full meeting on Thursday, and I was happy to sit down. Anthony Haro is one of my A, closest friends, and B, is on the executive committee for this, where we're trying to bring all these facets together, because from our perspective, how we make a living every day, a healthy housing system is good for everybody. Right, and you know, I would love to sit down and chat with Mr. Johnson and actually come on the show and actually have a two-way conversation about this. I'd love to do that.
More comments coming in.
Go ahead.
Neil Williamson. Neil, we
Thank
love
you.
when you watch this program.
Thank you.
15 years ago, 30,000 workers commuted into Santa Barbara, California. It's
Wow.
much worse now. This is where Charlottesville and Albemarle is heading, pricing workforce out of the market by government-created scarcity. Neil Williamson, Free Enterprise Forum.
Yeah, well, there's red tape into green
And
tape.
he's touching on the government approvals and the
Mr.
zoning
Johnson
and
says, I love Keith. He's great and knowledgeable. He watches the content here. Board member at the Haven, tremendous evangelist of Charlottesville, certainly of the African-American community.
Yeah, I'd love to buy you a cup of coffee and talk.
Mr. Michael Buchensky, the loan
Or
officer
lunch.
watching the program.
Hey.
He's got a comment for you.
Sure.
I'll throw this to you.
Sure.
It's already there, in my opinion. Multiple offers on homes well over asking price, and buyers are willing to pay the difference between appraised value and sales price. It is not sustainable this way. There will have to be a correction soon here and nationwide at this pace.
And
And that's a loan officer.
and he's spot on.
Yeah, loan officer, mortgage broker. What's the term?
Loan officer,
Okay.
mortgage broker,
Okay.
whatever
He's a
term he
mortgage-
prefers
yeah, mortgage
to
broker.
be called. But yeah, he's spot on, and that kind of goes to Mr. Johnson's question a little bit on that. You know, this is not a sustainable track, and it's not a healthy track, and it hurts a little. You know, eventually it could hurt on it. I think. So Neil was on the call, and it was a public meeting. There's some things I can disclose a little bit about the UVA involvement in this sphere, because it was talked about in a public meeting that was recorded, and there was a dialogue. So one of the things that I love about what I do with the Regional Housing Partnership and chair it, and it has these 4 different pillars, right? It has the public, the private, the nonprofits, and the people who we serve on this committee or on this group. We do a roundtable, and what I love about that is there's this two-way dialogue going on. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So we much shorter. You know, we've got a pretty tight restriction, and yours truly runs the clock with an iron fist.
Is it tighter in restriction time?
Yeah, we have I believe it was an hour and a half. I mean, it's a very structured public meeting with times and stuff like that. We don't have this, hey, Smith, it's 11:30, right, on this stuff. That, you know, it's a very structured thing, and yours truly runs it a little bit tight. I try to...
People appreciate that.
I try to finish this when we're supposed to finish
time is money.
Well, and you're dealing with some heavy hitters.
I
here.
just wanted to say, everybody has a time.
And we
time's
got heavy hitters, and then Neil.
Neil's a heavy hitter.
I love Neil. Neil was so clever in
He
this
is.
meeing.
Yeah.
We were talking about this missing middle conversation, and he put on his Zoom back thing. And remember the diagram we showed last week on the missing middle?
Yeah.
He had that on there. So I kind of embarrassed him. I said, Neil, lean over a little bit.
Michael Buchensky doesn't like mortgage broker or loan officer. He prefers rock star.
Rock star.
Rock star.
Michael Buchensky, that was funny.
Yeah, that was funny. Or loan God with a small G.
He does a hell of a job.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no,
Yeah. So this right here from Katie Pearl.
Yes.
Guys, Keith and Yonna are exactly right. I would rather sell 5 $300,000
Sure.
homes a year than 1 $600,000 home a year.
Absolutely.
Talk to us about that.
That's exactly what I was trying to say before. I mean, the amount of stress that you put on both parties is equal. It really is.
There's
So-
nothing.
Never considered
Yeah.
it from the seller side.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because you would think like
It's huge.
having all these like options and multiple offers would be like awesome. But I never considered it from that side how
Yeah.
you described it. You described it well.
Yeah,
I can't.
and the thing is I sit down, we really sit down with our clients to go ahead and really draw the right expectation and draw the picture as best as we can tell from the experience that we have, just to prepare them for that too, because while it's exciting and very elevating and lifting, there's an emotional side to that too. You know, you really have to look at this. Are you looking at this as an emotional move, or are you looking at this as a commodity? So, and every seller is different in that sense. And I agree with what Katie said. I'd rather sell $300,000 homes all day long and have a little bit more, I would say, leverage and input with a client who has a home in the $600,000 range, where everybody's looking at the moment.
We talk about this all the time. Our line of work, what Yonna and I do, is strictly relational. It's not
It is.
transactional. If you're thinking transactional, then you're just missing the whole point. But
Man, comments are coming in.
there's nothing better feeling, and we won't give details because Mrs. Smith is working on one out in Jesse Rutherford's neck of the wood in this little village we called Schuyler that we're talking about.
So we can say Nelson County?
We can
Yes,
say Nelson County.
County,
We can
yeah.
say Schuyler. We
We
just
can-
can't really get too much
Yeah, I cannot
into
get the
the
details.
details.
Okay.
First-time home buyer, young couple coming out of rental, right? We're helping them get their money. We're helping them through this whole process, through this thing. And forget about money. At the end of the day, when it's all over with and you give that set of keys to this couple and they're in tears, right? That they've never thought this was ever going to happen in their lives, right? There's no money in the world. I'm getting chills talking about it.
I can tell.
There's no money in the world that could absorb that feeling, that could overtake that feeling.
And I think it comes back down
And it's
to,
true.
to
This is
how
a
you
true
talk to the buyer,
heartfelt
too.
thing.
How
Excuse
do
me,
you
I'm
talk
sorry.
to your buyer client? You set up, in that sense, you have a very transparent, truthful conversation to let them know, yes, there is hope. Yes, you can buy a home. Trust me, we'll get you there. It may not be the first home that you
Might
have
be the
set your
10th
eye
one.
on. It may not be the fifth home. We're gonna really learn how to get the ins and outs of contracts in place. But there's hope, and we'll bring you to the finish line. So that's ultimately.
But it's
the
relational
discussion.
on both
And if
sides,
you're
and this
patient.
whole seller impact is true because you got to have this navigation of people's emotions to go through this thing, because it's not simple at the moment. It's never simple, but it's not simple at the moment.
Mr. Johnson says, this show inspires me to be an agent.
I know a
I
great.
am looking to get my license.
I know a great supervising.
Literally
broker.
just put that in the feed.
Yeah, well, Mrs. Smith teaches principals classes, so reach out to Mrs. Smith. He'll help you through the process.
love to
we
do
know a
that,
brokerage that would love
I hear
to have
Yes
you.
Realty Partners.
Yes Realty Partners would love to have you.
How about that question for you? Folks that are potentially new to the game, entering the industry and the business. We are seeing that trend.
Yeah. So
They have to learn very fast.
It's
I
a
believe
tough
we're-
environment to learn in.
It's an exciting environment. I'd rather have that dynamic than
Than
nothing
08?
going on.
09?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, I would think it's.
Well, it's interesting because you have to prepare for another 08 and 09. I mean, our business is, Mrs. Smith doesn't like
I
that.
disagree with that statement, and I can openly say that. I think there's.
We're going to do this in front of all these
No,
people?
please. I mean,
2008,
I'm
2009. I think if we haven't learned from
Yeah.
2008,
It's a whole different
2009,
animal.
it's a
Absolutely.
totally different environment. What I do see is a balanced market. I do see that. However, anybody coming into the industry, they need a good, experienced agent by their side, a good mentor coach by their side to help them through. And they need to be willing to step out of their comfort zones really fast and learn fast.
You're working feverishly.
I
over
mean,
there.
the show is quite popular. The show is quite
Good.
popular right now.
Can I give a little UVA information?
Please. I think Neil's ready for that.
Please.
Well, Neil knows about it because he heard it.
Okay.
Maybe Neil can go ahead and share this, but the dialogue between, and it was a public meeting, so we can talk a little bit. Let's just say the dialogue between an Albemarle County elected official and the member from UVA and the dialogue was going back and forth, and the elected official from Albemarle County assumed that this project or this plan that UVA was working on was only for the employees of UVA, and was very happy to see that the UVA official said, no, this is for the whole community. So they're looking to try to generate somewhere between 1,000 and 1,500 units. And that individual talked a little bit about how the process is going to go. But the intent is basically they're going to put some property out there for RFPs and for developers to come in, and they're trying to work themselves through that process. So
The rock star, Mr. Buchansky.
the rock star.
Rockstar,
Well,
Michael Rockstar Buchansky.
yeah,
He's got something to say.
Go ahead.
please do. Let us know.
Yonna and Keefe, there is not a huge amount of security set up and associated with subprime and ARM programs, so there is likely not a 2008 event coming. There will be a correction, but not at that magnitude.
Basically what I just said.
Yeah.
Yes,
So-
he put it, and thank you for saying that, because that's
That is what
exactly
you said.
that's exactly what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Correction's a strong word, I think.
Yeah, I
we're
think
just going
so
to go to
too.
balance, go to normal.
Yeah,
Right.
I think so.
On that end of it.
He's 100% right on this. I mean, this is exactly how I foresee it, to be honest with you. And that's again, are we learning from the experiences? And I think we did learn. I mean, the underwriting process, even in the market that we are currently in, the underwriting process is still very, very strict, very strict.
Well, it's just, and people were not using their homes as piggy banks.
Yeah, not anymore.
And the
yeah.
appraisal process is different, and that's
Very much
something
so.
that's something we continually have conversations with sellers, right? Because some of these sellers haven't sold since '08, right? And so we have to go through that whole process with them again.
Yeah, like I said, it's exciting on many levels. I think it raises the game, it raises the bar as far as our profession is concerned, and you really need to be prepared to not just be prepared to do a lot of work and bring the buyers and the sellers along and make sure that this is a happy experience for them on many
On
levels.
the feed, my friend.
We have, quite a bit.
Okay.
Quite a bit on the feed here. A lot of it is centered around, I don't want to use the word fear, but
Okay.
apprehension
Okay.
of the escalating prices.
And truthfully, I think the more of the fear factor you put in, the worse somebody's mindset is. If you are ready to make a move, then let's move. Let's do it. Don't wait. That's really truly what I would say to anybody. If it's a buyer or if it's a seller or if it's somebody, possibly thinking 6-8 months down the road to make that move, if they're really fearful of it. Fear is a strong word, and fear has a negative, in my mind, a negative connotation to it. I would rather try to put it in a positive form to say, hey, it's an exciting time, let's do something.
There's never a better time than now.
That's exactly right.
To do this, and just trying to interject what I think the fear question may be about is, am I buying at the top of the market? Maybe that's what they're worried about.
And the answer is yes. The answer is
No,
probably yes.
Mr. Smith, the answer is no, because the average, even if you buy now, the average increase is between 4% and 6% a year, right?
But that still doesn't mean that you're not buying at the top of the market now.
You may be at the top of the market now, but what is the top? So if I buy it for $1 now, and next year it's $1.06, so it's that the top of the market implies a downhill slide.
What are your thoughts?
I do agree to a certain extent to that. What I do want to kind of bring out, though, is let's say if this is in your mind the top of the market, then buy. Because with the interest rates being the way it is,
You have purchasing power.
you have purchasing power.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think all of us have been sort of educated enough that in order to go ahead and create equity, we know what we need to do in order to create equity in our homes. You just go ahead, if you have the opportunity to make an additional payment or
Yep.
2 payments,
Correct.
you will be able to create equity again. So I at the top of the market this is a little bit of a,
Well, that term means different things to different people.
different people,
by
yeah.
the way, because it means a different thing to Mrs. Smith than it does to Mr.
Oh, of
Smith.
course.
To Mr. Smith, and somebody like Scott Morris or Mike, can help with that. But to me, top of the market implies an inverted V. Right, that means that there's going to be a cliff on the other side, and there isn't a cliff.
It's going to be balanced.
Nobody is projecting a cliff. It's just your increase year-over-year increase is just going to be normal. And maybe Michael would disagree with me on that, or if Scott's watching, Scott would disagree with me on that, or somebody else. But that was my point. So to me, top of the market implies there's an edge of a table, and I'm going to drop off of it, and that's not the case.
Scott Proctor, great show, everyone. Hope everyone has a great day. He's enjoyed the show today. Scott Proctor, the businessman and entrepreneur. This is an interesting question for you guys. If you're selling your home right now and looking to buy, you can sell at a nice chunk and take that money and potentially buy something else. How about the folks that don't have something to sell and are entering the market for the first time?
So there's still excellent, and Mike can chime in if he's still watching. There's excellent first-time home buyer product out there. And actually, one of the things which I just looked at the clock, it's 11:24.
I know, it's great.
We were going to get to today was one of the MythBuster things, and we'll save this for another show. But one of the myths is I need 20%. No, there's plenty of loan products out there for first-time home buyers. What you need to do is you need to get in front of Scott Morris or Mike or some of these other folks here and get pre-qualified to go in and do it. But there are some first-time home buyer programs that are available that's not available to Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
The other thing is
which
also,
makes you highly competitive in the
other thing
buying
is
market.
also that most of these first-time home buyers really are doing their homework, and they have not just started this like now I want to buy a home. No, they have been working on this for at least a year or two, and they have saved diligently. They worked on their credit diligently.
Sure.
They really have done their homework, and it's a pleasure to be working with them because. They know what they're getting themselves into, so it's definitely guiding them is an amazing journey.
Grace says it seems like if I'm a first-time home buyer, which I am, I have to head to Waynesboro or some of the outer counties and drive to the hospital for my job.
That is unfortunately the truth at the moment. That is, you drive. I hate it. We talk about how much.
She's a hospital worker.
Yep, the drive to the qualified. That whole conversation happened on the RHP with the UVA conversation that we had is that this is going to the outer skirts. The real thing. What was his Grace?
Yeah.
The first step for Grace should do is go see a loan officer and find out what she qualifies first for. She may qualify for more than she thinks.
Katie Pearl, it's all relative. If you sell high, you're probably buying high. If you sell low, you're probably selling low.
It is relative, but you're also if you're selling, ending up with a little bit more cash. So this particular home that we're showing this weekend, we're using this tool of we've notified everybody that's showing a home that the contract will be contingent on our buyer. It's going to be our seller finding a home, and everybody of the 20 some odd showings we have scheduled this weekend, everybody understands it. Everybody's good with that and understands that when an offer comes in, that's going to have to be taken into consideration. So there's some tools, right? We talk about this all the time. This would be a leaseback scenario or some other scenario that we're having, which give the time for the seller to go find a piece of property. We're talking about inventory starting to come back on the market a little bit more. So if you can sell it now, get the most amount of cash that you can, then you have a little bit of leverage when you start moving forward in your buy.
Mr. Buchensky, the rock star, has a situation, a financial hypothetical, if you may. A $400,000 loan at a 2.75% rate versus a 3.25% rate. We're talking a 0.5% difference. Represents a $109 difference for the monthly principal and interest.
Correct.
$109 a month. The rate market is still awesome. We went from a historically low market to a historically low market back to a historically low market. We just need supply. If a seller is on the fence, I would sell it to get supply in the market. There are a bunch of first-time buyer programs that are great in the $400,000 range. Again, we just need supply.
And I would agree with that statement.
So I'm going to add a little.
May I just say something about the first-time home buyer? Because driving until you find what you're looking for, it depends on what you're looking for. So typically we try to go ahead and categorize based upon their wish list. So the must-haves that you have, the wanna-haves, and the ones that you can kind of live with or live out with. And I can tell you that even in a market as tight as this particular area is in, there may be an option for somebody to find what they're looking for, as long as they're willing to kind of compromise a little bit. I would definitely give the area a chance before I start, getting out of the area.
Right.
Because the amount of money that you're probably going to spend, especially with gas prices going up, driving these days across the mountain, you might as well maybe pay a little bit more here in town or around town,
Well,
and stay in the area.
and with all due respect to Mike, 400 is not necessarily a first-time home buyer budget, right? Usually it's considerably less than.
I think he meant up to.
Okay,
Up
I
to,
apologize.
yeah. Yeah, up to
I didn't.
400.
My hearing aids aren't quite
It
working.
is up to, yeah.
I apologize.
that's
I apologize, Mike,
Yeah,
for doing that. But to go back to it, I mean, we can't give too much details, but this is what Yonna's doing out in Nelson County, out in Schuyler. She is taking somebody who's a tenant, or a young couple that's a tenant, and they are moving from the rental environment into ownership. Unfortunately, it's a 45-minute drive from the city. And excuse me, I don't know the particulars of the client because it's not my client, but there's opportunities out there.
Andre Xavier, Bank of America has a great first-time home buyers program, up
Yep.
to $10,000 free cash. And he includes a link to the $10,000 in free cash on the feed.
Interesting.
And if President Biden's $15,000 first-time home buyer gets approved or gets through, which at the moment it's not on the table, it's my understanding anyway, that even increases that even more. But that will then there's the flip side to that. Then it now puts a ton of more pressure on inventory. That's why the construction component is so important, to get projects approved and increase the inventory from a new construction perspective on that, from my opinion anyway.
What do you think?
Mr. Miller, it's 11:30.
I know. It's exploding right here. The feed is exploding. I mean, we're not going to get to all these comments here.
we say
we'll
thank you.
talk as long as you want, but you
Yeah.
have a show to do.
I do. We're not going to, guys. We're not going to get to these comments. I don't know what to tell you here. I mean, it's booming.
We'll be happy to answer the
Yeah.
questions offline.
Keith and Yonna Smith.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, Team Realtors.
And any quick one there? You're just that many of them.
All right. Wait till you see your phone. Why don't you go to type your Facebook app
my phone's-
and look at your notifications, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. How many notifications do you see right there?
One. No.
How many you got?
Oh, God. Over 50? 50
Yeah.
something?
That's what I'm dealing with right now while trying to host this show, Keith.
So if I can say something in closing about COVID, which we didn't talk about, and makes me feel a lot better now too, is since we are in the process of really getting COVID certified, we have the opportunity to see our family again and see our grandchildren. So that is like
that's coming. Yeah, we're super. That's the other thing about the shots. Our grandchildren are going to be able to come and see us, and
yeah.
it's-
And by
it's
the way,
gonna be
happy
fun.
second month birthday to our granddaughter.
That's right.
She's 2 months old today.
2 months.
2 months.
Deanna's 2 months.
Precious.
Can you believe that? 2
Precious
months
little
already?
thing.
You
Yeah,
believe that?
I can't wait to see him.
What do they say? Parenthood, the best, hardest thing ever, and the longest, shortest thing ever.
I tell you what.
Well, I don't
it's
know.
like-
Being a grandparent is freaking cool.
Oh,
Yeah?
it's just
I can tell you
amazing.
that.
Hey, you get all the gravy.
You know, man, I was like,
Is it the best?
It is. It's
Oh, without
absolutely
doubt.
amazing, and you see him grow, and you see him, yeah,
well, the neat thing, and thank God for this thing.
yeah,
Because of the FaceTime?
We have breakfast every morning with our grandchildren.
yeah.
And
our daughter on
And
the
our
West
daughter.
Coast as much as we can because she's busy very much so.
Well-
but anyhow,
If you guys need a trusted advisor, you see what they're all about.
Thank
Keith
you.
and Yonna Smith
Thank you,
of the
thank you.
Yes Team Realtors and Yes Realty Partners.
happy spring.
They are A+.
What do you got at 12:30?
A++. I'm working on that now.
Got it.
Mr.
Thank you.
Michael Payne, who we have tremendous respect
Yeah,
for,
do very much so.
is a tad hesitant now
Got it.
that this has become global news.
Got it.
Yeah.
Positive spirit, guys.
So
Butterfly effect.
I would encourage him to come in. I'll tell you what, I've never, ever, and I've had multiple conversations with the man, never walked away being smarter. He's it's just every time I have a conversation with him, he blows my mind.
Stephanie says being a grandma and a grandparent is the absolute best thing ever, with exclamation points. And your son-in-law, Harry Tyson, thank you, Yonna and Keith. We love you. Love Vienna.
Oh.
Vienna just sent a comment, the 2-month-old. She's going to be very advanced. She's leaving comments at 2 on Facebook.
She's a chatterbox, so she's gonna be.
I feel like I know Harry Tyson.
Well, you're gonna see him shortly. We're gonna get him in the office.
Hey, I feel like I know you.
Because you kind of do.
I love this family. I love this Smith family. All right, guys.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Smith.
You got to get ready for a show.
I do.
Thank you, Judah.
Happy Friday.
Happy
Thank you,
Friday
Judah.
to you.
Thank
Happy
you. Thank you,
150,
Jerry.
man.
Thank you.
Happy 150 shows.
Happy 150,
150
dude.
shows.
And you got vaccinated.
And I got vaccinated. We got vaccinated.
Yeah.
Yes, Team Realtors.
We do everything together. We literally
Real talk.
went together and got vaccinated together.
I know you guys do. It's so impressive. I mean, you guys should write a book on happy marriage and how to do it.
Maybe a sitcom. Maybe a sitcom.
Just remind him on the brownie points that are a little low at the moment.
You had to bring back. You brought that. Thank you, Miller. Miller, you starting trouble again.
Oh, gosh.
All right.
You guys have a good
Have a
afternoon. Happy
weekend.
Friday, everybody. Take
Let's
care.
talk
Take
soon.
care, guys.
Take care. Happy spring.
That was good. Very nicely done.
Well done, zing at the end, Mrs. Smith.
Very nicely done.
Just saying.
Guess you're buying lunch now.